Come and take a class at the Alter Academy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of Alter Academy. Today we have another special guest, one of what I consider the greatest deck builders in Disney Lorcana, and one of the top 5 people I never want to pair into in a DLC because he never misses. Let's give it up for Ray, everybody. Ray, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be part of this video, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited to go through this list with you as it has some really cool and crazy combos and uses some very, very expensive characters. Can you walk me through how you came to be on this list?
Yeah, so I guess everyone kind of knew of this combo in the early set 7, but no one put it together because the boogeyman of set 7, especially the early stages, was red blue and blue steel, and this deck just doesn't have ways to fight against it.
Real quick,
Um,
could you just walk me through what that combo is for our viewers who
Oh yeah, for sure.
need an
So the
introduction?
combo is basically you put Chief Bogo out, and then Chief Bogo is when you play a Floodborn, it deals 1 damage to all the opposing characters, and then you play Return of Hercules, which allows you to put a character from your hand into play, and so does your opponent as well. So as the ability goes in a stack, Prince, you as active player, you choose the trigger first. So all the characters get 1 damage, and then Prince Philip removes them, and then your opponent's abilities will trigger afterwards.
Gotcha. So basically, you're going to do a board wipe of their entire board and have a 6/6 evasive out.
Yes, it's a one-sided board wipe, or something Ed would call a Regeki
Yep.
in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Our old Yu-Gi-Oh fans there, yeah. Set 1 Regeki.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and walk me through your choices here in deck building and how it fights the current meta of Set 8.
Yeah. So you have the usual green steel lines, but it's a lot more complex now because you have to know when to keep your combo pieces and when you need to ink them. So generally, you want to oppose multiple threats on the first 4 turns, which also your opponent cannot leave a Diablo drawing you cards, a morph that can become anything, which we have a lot of big threats, and then we have Ursula, the Deceiver of All, which you cannot leave on board because she'll just, if she sings twice, you just auto win the game.
Yeah.
And if your opponent were to check any of those 3 cards, that leaves Chief Bogo safe on board, and then you can do the combo to get the one-sided board wipe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's like the general idea. And then our backup card is the Big Mouse, which is very strong into steel decks and red decks.
Yeah.
Just because even purple decks, because you have a 10/10 on board that cannot be answered. So it can only be Bruno or wrong lever.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're pretty safe as long as you're not against Emerald if you get this Mickey out.
Yes. Most of the time, it's almost like an auto win because Amber Steel can't do anything to it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, being able to play the 10 cost character early, that's just there's nothing more fun in the game than just cheating out high cost characters.
Absolutely, especially against lower to the ground decks, where they don't have removals, and you can just use them to trade the board, and then eventually he dies and wipes out everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, his nuke as well when he leaves just makes him such an awesome card to cheat out.
Yep. And a quest for 5, which is scary.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into what we came here for, simulating some hand alters. And let's start, as we always do, blind on the play.
So blind on the play, I'm only keeping the Return of Hercules. The reason for that is if I draw any Diablos, it's the best card to discard early, and it's safe not leaving actions to be ripped by Ursula as well. So I like to keep that, and also I won't be drawing multiples mid or late game.
Right. That's something I think a lot of people don't consider too. Is just keeping some of those easy inks just for those early turns, so you don't top deck them later. I'm a big fan of doing that with multiple T-pos myself when I play Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, and I think this deck has like very complex mulligan and inking.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and take that easy 6. Oh,
So not the greatest hand, but not bad either, because you have the Ursula 3. Um, we could top deck Ursula 2 on curve or hit a Diablo shift, and we can pitch one of those Hercules, and that'll draw us hopefully a 2-drop, like a morph.
oh yeah. And I will say it's kind of interesting too. The I'm singing "I'm Still Here" because against most decks that aren't Ruby, you're going to be able to have her survive if you just give her +4 resist until the start of your next turn.
Yes. Basically, it's just like your source of card draw and filtering your hand to get your combo pieces.
Yeah. So let's go into blind on the draw now.
So blind on the draw now, I'm probably only keeping Morph. So I'm looking to potentially, if it's an Amber Steel, I can probably hopefully get Ursula and have a turn 2 play. Or if it's like any red or purple deck, I can play a Morph and try to shift a Beast.
Got it. Yeah. Understood. Well, that these have been very easy so far, but let's let's see what we get on this one.
Yeah, so this is like a perfect game plan on the draw.
Yeah.
So exactly what we wanted. So not having a turn 1 is fine. We're basically gonna see what our opponent's gonna play. If we see a turn 1 Cindy, we're just gonna ink a Clarabelle. Or if it's a red deck, then we're probably still ink the Clarabelle and then play into the morph and then shift the beast and try to get our combo pieces or ways to fight the board, basically.
Got it. All right. Let's go into what I think is one of the best decks in the early Reign of Jafar meta, Steel Song on the play.
So Steel Song on the play here. I'm definitely looking for Ursula 2 or Shift Diablo to follow up. Because Shift Diablo can just blow out Steel Song because you sing first, so you can out their Cindy and then follow up ways to protect it with I'm Still Here. So I'm definitely gonna go for the high roll here. So I'm only keeping a Diablo and a I'm Still Here.
Now, walk me through keeping the I'm Still Here. I know a lot of people like to just go aggressive for the one cost Diablo and and hope that they're going to draw one of their tons of songs in the deck. Uh,
So this would be my understanding of my own deck building. So it's not like a standard green steel deck where they're probably on 18 to 20 songs or actions. I know that I'm on specifically 16. So if I mulligan too hard and if I don't get an action to shift, then I'm also not in a very good spot.
right.
And if I have multiple actions, at very least I can just discard it to make it sing and protect itself, pairing whatever other actions I get.
Got it. Okay. And let's see what we get with this altar.
And this is a amazing hand. Like this fights very well into Ember Steel. You have
Yeah.
the Diablo to check to see if they have the Cindy. If they do, that's fine. You can rip a song, sing "I'm Still Here," cycle it to protect your Diablo, and then hopefully look for another Ursula to rip another song, or you can follow up with a Pete. Or so there's many ways, or just get a removal to get rid of the Cindy. So this is like a very strong hand to fight Ember Steel
Yeah,
on the
agreed.
play.
Yeah, even this Ursula is just going to do a ton of work too.
Yes.
Let's go into Steel Song on the draw.
So on the draw, a common mistake people make is if they do a turn 1 Cindy, if they have the Diablo combo, they end up inking the Diablo. So what you always do is you always play the one drop Diablo anyways because you want the hand check information.
Hmm.
And sometimes they mulligan so hard to try to get the turn one Cindy, they actually don't have an action. And then that's when you can take advantage. You just high roll and you win on the draw.
Yeah,
So here my mulligan is I'm only keeping Diablo and Ursula. And maybe the Return of Hercules. So I'm not leaning too hard to get the Diablo one drop, but I do have key cards to fight with the Ursula too. And so some would say we keep the Ursula 3, but I really want the Diablo shift here. And then at most, hopefully, we get a Pete to curve into Pete. So I'm probably getting rid of the Storm Rage on here and keeping the Return of Hercules. And
got it.
probably just mulligan those.
All right, so we're keeping Diablo, Ursula, and Return of Hercules. Let's see what we get.
Not bad, actually, because we can just go Ursula 2 and then rip a song and then follow up with multiple Diablos out, to draw out removals. And with those turns, hopefully we draw Pete and then
Yeah.
we can shift Pete or get a BOGO out and set up a board clear. So that will probably be the game plan with this sort of hand.
Yeah, agreed. Actually, I do want to touch on something you said when we were going through that altar was that sometimes people ink their turn one Diablo because of the Cindy, but what you said really struck a nerve with me that people are alter aggressively, and when they do that, they sometimes miss. That is always a reason to, when you're on the draw, pay attention to how many they alter, because if they're altering, if they're steel song and they're altering like 6 or 7, they're they're digging for that Cinderella, as you said, and they could often miss. And so that's a hand where if they're or altering that aggressively, you can also be a little more aggressive or even a little more conservative, depending on how like the cards have gone in your hand to build what you can do those first couple turns.
Yeah, and it's also ways to keep note of player tendency.
Hmm.
So if you do go into a third match, then you know exactly how your opponent thinks, and you can take advantage of that. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you can catch players making very greedy choices.
Yeah, you definitely can. Some people are a lot more greedy than others. Uh,
Yes, indeed.
Me being one of them. uh, let's get into Ruby Sapphire DKP on the play.
So the thing about DKP's deck is Ursula's hit rate is very high.
Hmm.
So because of that, we always want to keep Ursula in hand, and what we're basically looking for is a Diablo shift and put a lot of pressure. And then things that we can do is I'm definitely keeping Return of Hercules in hand because that's a card that I want to put out a big character early and just pressure red blue. And generally, if you put enough pressure, you may just end up winning, just because they need to constantly ink to get coil value, or though they're not playing coil actually.
Right.
So they need to constantly ink to get to their the big characters. But doing so, they're you're forcing them to have less options because they have to ink, place things down to enter your board. So it's less time. It's not less time actually. It's just making them use up more resources.
Right.
I think that's the correct term. So what you're basically doing is you're making them gas out quicker.
Hmm.
Without Hiram giving infinite draws, like red blue actually can gas out against this deck.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So my mulligan here, I'm keeping Diablo, Ursula, and Return of Hercules.
One Diablo, right?
Yes, the one Diablo.
Yeah. I have found, not specifically against the Return of Hercules matchup, but in Emerald Steel in general, if they don't Ursula me and let me how far I'll go, that is how I win the game. Like, it
Yes.
puts my win rate so high, and so I'm always just hoping that they don't Ursula my how far.
Mhm. This sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Um, you have like big threats that could really pressure on the play. And then this is good questing power. Diablo's like just gonna draw you a bunch of things that you need.
Yeah, the real
And
question
then
is what we're inking after that first Return of Hercules.
um so in this instance I don't have any actions. I'm actually more inclined to ink the Ursula 3 here.
Gotcha. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And then Diablo will most likely draw you other things like
Hmm.
Morph or Pete. Um, and then you can set up like Morph Chief Bogo and then shift into something right away.
Right.
And so what we have in this list is Helga St. Clair. And she's like a very powerful card. So let's say if our opponent like hyper ramp into Maui Shark, you can literally just sing Storm Rage on the Diablo, and then the Helga St. Clair will take out the shark in one hit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Gotta deal with those sharks.
Yes, that's really the deck understanding is very important and knowing your list, and you can play your outs and not keep cards that that doesn't benefit you at the moment.
Right. All right. Well, let's go into Ruby Sapphire on the draw now.
So on the draw, we're sort of looking for the same thing. So if we're somehow behind, then we see Clarabelle is a very great card here. But at the moment, we don't need her yet. So on this mulligan, it's probably like the same typical mulligan. Like we're looking for Diablo, Shift, Ursula, and setting up multiple threats, or Morph shifting into Beast. So in this instance on the draw, I'm actually going to keep the Beast, see if I can get the Morph. So I'm keeping Diablo, Ursula 2, and Beast.
Just one, right?
Yeah, just one.
All right. Let's see what we get. And I will say I agree with your decision because there's nothing when playing DKP's list that I dislike more than the Shift Beast on 3. It is so hard
Yeah.
to deal with. It's gonna draw
It
like
is
3
very
cards.
difficult. So this is a very interesting mulligan here. Um, I don't hate it. We have a curve from 1, 2, and 3. Like the Ursula can take out. Do they play any Grammatalas? I don't remember.
Yes, yes, it's 4 Talas.
Yeah, so they do take out Talas, and that can give you card filter. And then if you can curve out and throw out a Mickey Mouse, that's a rough card for a DKP build to deal with because they only have B prep to get rid of the Mickey Mouse. So those
Uh,
are probably the lines I'm looking for, or Shifting Beast.
they are
Uh,
switching to Hades and sometimes Maleficent. I specifically played Maleficent, but it's not that popular.
okay.
But it's not. Yeah, yeah. But so that could come up, but it's kind of rare.
Okay, I think that's where probably the Diablo is very good then, because
Yeah.
we get the intel, and
Right.
then we can always play our way, because we can peek their hands for 2 turns and just hope they don't draw it for the next for 3 more turns,
Got it.
and then yeah, then we can set up like a very strong game plan.
All right. Ray, would you like to go to Emerald Amethyst discard or Emerald Amethyst tempo?
Um, I think the mulligan for those are both similar.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is a very good hand already. So the common thing about Emerald Amethyst is they play very small characters. Um, so they either have like Pegasus, Merfolk, and Tinkerbell just is like their worst enemy when
Yeah.
it comes to the matchup. Um, and also Beast being a character that if they can't, it's harder for them to interact. Uh, so generally against green, purple, I don't mold too hard for Diablo shift lines just because I know that they are on Peter Pans.
Yeah.
So I'm more inclined to just play shift cards and that are bigger bodies, and it's hard for them to deal with because most of their characters are just like genies, Elsas,
Yeah.
smaller guys. Or if you're on the other build, then they have like Diablos and stuff. Where Tinkerbell is very good, especially if you have a Chief Bogo, you shift a Tinkerbell. That's a complete board wipe on them. So in this particular hand, I'm probably only holding Beast, Tinkerbell, and Morph because I just want to pressure with big characters early.
Got it. I think that makes sense. And we are on the play as well, so they really want you to play that Diablo.
Yeah. It's still good though, actually, because Ursula 2 most of the time, depending which build, is ink anyways. So I'm probably inking the first morph and see what they play. Because most of the time, if they're on Merfolks, they're not on Diablos, and then they play Diablo, then likely they're on the Diablo build,
Yeah.
and then you can pivot if you want to rip a song or not, because they're both like be on like sudden chills, Bruno's, Frenzy on the other sides. So there's plenty of options where Ursula 2 can get value. And then you could probably choose if you want to curve into Beast afterwards, or just shove a bunch of Diablos and just have them as fodders. And then Tinkerbell wipes them out because things will have two damage on it.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go into Emerald Amethyst on the draw then.
Um, so on the draw, it's kind of like the same thing, but ooh, okay. I actually really like this here. So Helga Sinclair is a very strong card into Amethyst deck,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're just playing one for one character at a turn, such as Genie and then Elsa, and Helga basically like allows you to just take them out one by one. And basically, what that means is like you if they have a slow start and if you can win the board, you can literally lock them out of the game completely.
Oh yeah.
So I think what I'm mulliganing here is I'm definitely getting rid of the I'm still here, and I'm only keeping Morph, Chief Bogo, and Helga.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
That is pretty good actually. Um, so I guess like your following line is like, depending which build we're up against, I'm inking strength to avoid the Ursula 2 ripping. And then I'm probably going to, depending what build, is either Ursula 2 or Morph. And then I'm probably going to drop the Diablo and then play a Chief Bogo, shift the Helga, and start doing my thing.
Got
And
it.
then if you were to get combo pieces, then you can probably. So what's interesting is like because you do have two of the combo pieces. If you're on the draw, you can probably, depending on what you draw, you can probably hold the Prince Philip and not ink him yet actually. And then who knows, you may end up drawing up the Return of Hercules. So the game plan can really just pivot depending on your draw sequence and what threats your opponent puts on board.
Yeah, and Prince Philip is very, very tough for Emerald Amethyst to answer.
Yes,
Uh,
I
ju-
think most of the time you just win if he comes out.
yeah, I just played a game against your deck right before we started Alter Academy, and the Prince Philip quested for 20 lore.
Yeah,
I answered everything but him, couldn't do it. He got me.
the evasive is a pain to deal with.
Yep, that he is.
Like even Elsa with a Merlin crab doesn't out it, so it's a big threat.
Yeah. All right, let's do Chernadogs on the play.
So against Chernadogs, I'm just looking how I can stop them, and one of the best card is definitely having a Diablo shift because it's a way for you to fight early, putting damage, and I think Helga is a very strong card as well. So this is a little bit tricky. Ursula 2 has no value into Chernadogs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what I'm looking for is a morph here, and I'm keeping Helga. So I'm gonna ink Chief. I'm only keeping Diablo and Helga here, and then I'm just hoping to get Diablo one drop. So here's something. So I did say earlier, knowing my deck, I won't draw lower on action count. But here, because we're keeping two uninkables as a win con, um, you don't want to risk a chance on your mulligan. You get more uninkables.
Right.
So that's why, like, I'm mulliganing away the Storm Rage on here.
All right.
And yes, this will be it.
Ooh.
So this is not bad here. So probably like your first ink is probably most likely be an Ursula, and then hopefully you draw a morph, and then if you draw a morph, then you're kind of in a good spot, because then hopefully you draw other inkables, and then you can curve either into Helga, drop a Philip, drop a Bogo, and if you somehow get a Return of Hercules, then you're in a very good spot for one-sided board wipe.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this is very interesting. If your opponent doesn't go too crazy early, then you can probably throw it out into Diablo before shifting the Helga. So you can shift the Helga after the Bogo comes out. Let's say if we get a morph.
Got it. Okay, let's go into Chernadogs on the draw, which will be our last one for the day.
So Chernadog on the draw. So I'm definitely going to keep the Diablo one drop, Return of Hercules, and the. Ooh, this is tough. I think I'm keeping Chief Bogo this time
Okay.
because Chernadog on the literally on the play is tough for every deck. So our main goal here against Chernadog is hopefully we can just get the combo out and win. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe they have a way to deal with Bogo on turn 4. So you're
No,
always
they
going to be
don't.
able to just turn 5 combo this.
I think they have kits. So I know some
Oh, they do
builds
have,
do
they do
run.
have kits, yes.
Yes. So I think what I'm hoping is to possibly to have another threat like a Diablo out. So if a Diablo ship is out, it's more likely the Diablo ship is going to get kit,
Right.
and then
It
from
always
there,
does.
yeah. So I'm probably so if that's the case, actually, I am gonna keep the Ursula 3, and then hopefully we can draw into our songs, and then we can deal with the board.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to keep songs to get Ursula 2, so we just want to draw into it.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna only gonna keep Diablo, Ursula 3, and Ursula 4, and the Return of Hercules.
Diablo.
Just because I am
Oh, you're going to get
aiming
rid of
to
the
try to.
Phillip?
I'm getting rid of the Philip here.
Okay.
Because we're on a draw, we get one extra draw.
We should
If
draw
we
into
get a
one.
ship or somehow Ursula singing, we can find another one.
Got it. Okay. Let's see what we get.
Probably not the greatest on the draw against it, but I wouldn't say it's terrible. So we're probably hoping for Ursula sings, curving to get us the Philip. So probably like Ink, Return of Hercules, play Diablo. Hopefully we get a morph, and if we do, that actually puts us in a much better spot. And then we can probably Ink a Beast, play a Ursula. Next turn, Ursula sing double I'm still here, put a Chief Bogo, and hopefully we get the combo. That kind of thing.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Ray, I really appreciate you coming and joining us for this episode of Alter Academy. This has been one of the more exciting decks that we've ever gotten to premiere on this show because it's very rare that we get these awesome, like, exciting combo decks that are actually really, really good in a competitive environment. So I appreciate you coming and showcasing this awesomely creative and competitive deck list here. Is there anything you want to shout out before we go today?
No. Thanks for having me, and to the viewers. I hope you enjoy playing the deck. It's very fun, and it's not oppressive. One of my biggest reason to play this was I'm known for playing green steel discard, and that's just not like a fun for locals like casual nights. Where this is something fun and refreshing, where the locals can actually play their cards, and I get to wipe them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's different and it's fun. And shoutouts to JBaum for hosting,
Thank you.
and also to my fellow SLTC members. Love you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ray. This has been another exciting episode of Alter Academy. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you.